On a recent episode of Black Talk Radio News, actually last Friday, myself and a caller were discussing the apparent lies and holes in the story of George Zimmerman, talking about he was in this life and death struggle on the ground with Trayvon Martin on top of him. And some of the things that we pointed out at that time, and which is illustrated by one of our media partners, Afrisynergy, Mr. West Thea, put that photo out that you're looking at now of George Zimmerman's jacket. Well, we were discussing and we were talking about how George Zimmerman nor Trayvon Martin's clothing showed any evidence of a life or death struggle that George Zimmerman claimed to have occurred. I'm also more inclined to believe that his little scratches and bloody nose were self-inflicted or inflicted by some of his accomplices who also testified that they saw Trayvon Martin on top of George Zimmerman throwing blows down. Now, however, that's not relevant to disproving Zimmerman's lie about struggling while on his back. And again, the witness who said he saw Zimmerman on his back, based on the evidence, told a lie. Now, we know it was raining that night, and we know that it's been stated that some of the struggle occurred on the grass, possibly, as my caller had pointed out, on the concrete. All right, so grass. Anybody who has played, tackle football in the grass, wrestling, playing around, horse playing in the grass, whether that grass is wet or dry, it's going to leave grass stains in your clothing, which, are hard to get out. They come up with special kind of laundry detergent and advertise how it gets grass stains out. So whether that ground was wet or dry, there would be grass stains on the back of George Zimmerman's jacket. And, you can look at this jacket, the back of it, it doesn't even look wet, let alone having any kind of grass stains or mud or dirt or anything. Also, somebody had pointed out to me that Trayvon Martin had on white shoes, and they did not have any kind of grass stains or mud or anything that would have showed that physical evidence that they were struggling in the grass. The only thing of Trayvon Martin that you saw of his pants was that his pants were wet from the knees down. Okay, and I have always stated that George Zimmerman executed Trayvon Martin. Trayvon Martin was on his knees screaming for his life or whatnot, and George Zimmerman executed him, at which point you don't hear Trayvon Martin screaming anymore. But also, they claimed that they were on the concrete, or possibly part of the struggle was on the concrete or started on the concrete, and they rolled over into the grass. Now, again, I don't know how many of you have children. I don't know how active you were as a young person, but concrete tears up clothing. And if it doesn't tear up the clothing, like, leaving holes in the knees or wherever, it's going to leave very visible marks, what they might call scorch marks, because concrete is very unforgiving. Okay. And so as you can see, you looking at this jacket, no grass stains. It doesn't even appear to be wet. No mud, no dirt, just a very clean jacket. And that photo is the one that was taken of him at the police station, at the Sanford police station. And then you see, I think that's one of the defense attorneys. I'm not sure, who this person is holding up this jacket of George Zimmerman's. And again, I do not see anything that shows evidence of a struggle, but the most important thing is to look at the jacket, okay, right after the killing of Trayvon Martin happened. This is the photo taken by the Sanford Police Department, and possibly why Chris Sereno and Ricardo Ayala, the responding officer who filled out a report, stated that George Zimmerman was guilty or should be charged with negligent homicide manslaughter. Okay, that's on the report. We've posted the report back in 2012 in March when that report became made known to the public. But again, anybody that is being objective, anybody with common sense who looks at the back of this jacket after George Zimmerman was photographed at the police station, you can see it shows no signs of grass stains, no mud, no dirt, no anything, no concrete, scorch marks, no nothing. It's a clean jacket. All right. Now, the last thing I want to point out also, let's look at this other picture. Now, in this picture, you see this individual who was knocked out after he fell and hit his head on the ground. Now, this occurred in New York just a couple of days ago. I think it was Friday. Well, last Friday. This occurred last Friday. And so this man is in critical condition that you see laying here on the ground after he went on a racist tirade, ran up to this black man and his date who were having dinner at this restaurant in the West Village of New York. And so he ran up on them, calling them the N-word and blaming them for him losing his job at Goldman Sachs and his wife leaving him. So he's a loser. He doesn't want to take responsibility for his problems and want to blame them on black people. And so he goes up to this black person and starts calling them the N-word. And so that person, feeling threatened, hit this man in the face. This man falls down and hits his head on the concrete and is in critical condition. I don't even think he's woken up yet. So he got knocked the hell out. He's laying on the ground and nobody pounded his head into the concrete. He fell after being hit and hit his head on the concrete and he's knocked the hell out. Now, you are not going to tell me or expect me to believe after that little drama demonstration that the defense attorney put on for George Zimmerman with an inanimate object, a dummy who is not struggling, a little dummy that is not fighting back, and he repeatedly and violently slams the dummy into the ground or into the floor of the courtroom. Now, if that was concrete and if that was George Zimmerman, a human being, and his head was being repeatedly smashed into concrete, I submit to you that by the time the Sanford Police Department would have arrived, he would have been laid out just like you see this man right here. Some of this stuff is just about common sense. And, you know, I agree with Mr. West Thea in his assertion that the Florida prosecuting attorneys did not attack the absence of the signs of the struggles that Zimmerman lied about. Okay, so this means, in his opinion, that the prosecution intentionally underperformed with the intent of a not guilty verdict. And I tend to agree with that. There are many other things that people have pointed out, how the prosecution seemed to just roll over and just accept the defense's version. Many things they didn't point out, just like we pointed out to you. Okay, they just accepted it and then they didn't even challenge anything. Like, if a human being's head is repeatedly slammed in the concrete, they're going to be knocked the hell out. Okay, so, and again, no sign of a struggle of George Zimmerman being on his back in wet grass with someone on top of him struggling. All right, so, yeah, just wanted to point that out. We have to get justice for Trayvon Martin by any means necessary.